Welcome to the Tennis Warehouse review of the 2025 Head Speed Legend MP. This update features a new material technology, Hy-Bor, which puts compression-resistant boron fibers in the shaft to create a more stable and connected feel through impact. Auxetic 2 in the yoke and handle enhances feel and responsiveness, while Graphene Inside is utilized to reinforce key areas of the frame to boost power and stability. With the buttery 60RA 16x19 string pattern and a 325 plus swing weight, this racket blends controllable power, spin potential, and stability for intermediate to advanced level players. I've been a big fan of head rackets for the last few years. I use the 2022 Speed MP as my racket of choice, and I'm currently contemplating switching to the Gravity MP. So I'm very familiar with the feel of these rackets, and I think it's a big reason why I enjoy them so much. And with this update, I feel like it continues with that trend. I really like that softer, responsive feel. It doesn't feel too muted, and I still feel well connected to my shots. As for the on-court performance and playability, it's very similar to the previous version, really dictated for me by that higher swing weight. There were some positives to go with that higher swing weight. I did have a lot of put-away power when I did have time to set up. It felt really stable from all areas of the court, and I really enjoyed it on my backhand slice. But the negatives were that it felt a little bit sluggish to me, and I just couldn't accelerate the racket the way I would have liked to and generate the type of topspin I would have liked. But if you are a player that enjoys that higher swing weight and you can handle it, then you're gonna really enjoy what this racket has to offer in terms of just blend of power, control, the stability, and the feel. But for me, I would lean more toward the Gravity MP because of that lower 320 swing weight.
This update to the Speed MP is largely an internal one with no real geometrical changes to the frame, so I was really interested to see how the addition of Head's new Hy-Bor layup felt. And I think the goal with this was to have some sort of increased stability and feel throughout contact. And while the previous version had a really high swing weight and low static weight, that ratio of weight to swing weight is still here in this frame, but the internals do feel markedly different. So I did feel that increased stability. This racket really is a hammer on ground strokes. Felt like I could really stay low through the ball. Really enjoyed this on my one-hander, surprisingly. In the past, I haven't really enjoyed speed rackets on my one-hander, preferring the two-hander with that shot. But it was really conducive for that, and I liked how the frame sort of encouraged me to just really stay low and prioritize making good contact through the ball. So just a really satisfying racket to hammer ground strokes with. My touch shots were maybe lacking a little bit in terms of feel like sort of slices and chips and blocks back were not quite where I wanted them to be. They tended to float or sit up a little bit too much in the middle of the court. So it was harder for me to play defense with this kind of racket, so forced me to be a little bit more aggressive and come to the net more. And thankfully it was super viable for volleys. Really enjoyed the feel up at net as well. I did have a little bit of difficulty putting away some overheads. Just that higher swing weight was a little bit harder to utilize above the shoulder. Felt that particularly on serve as well. Just a little clunky through the air, maybe not quite the sort of spin axis that I'm usually looking for up there. But on return, this racket was a pretty nice frame to swing with. I actually preferred using my two-handed return with this racket compared to my one-handed, which is my go-to normally. But again, those sort of blocks or those chip backs against heavier pace, just harder to utilize on this return of serve. Overall, I think this is a good update, sort of addressing the issues with the 2024 Speed MP and reinforcing what the line does really well.
Well, I was very surprised by this racket. It's now my favorite racket in the Head franchise. It's the new Head Speed MP Legend. It's got new technology in the throat here, adds excellent stability and excellent feel. I was really surprised at how stable this racket was when I was dragged wide on the forehand and wide on the backhand. It felt really nice coming through the shot. Excellent feel, particularly up at net. Volleys felt excellent. I don't normally come in that much, but I felt the urge to chip and charge with this racket because I wanted to get in there and hit some volleys. It was really nice on touch volleys. You could hit your forehand drop volley cross court nicely, same on the backhand. Nice spin on the serve, hit your flat serve nice and hard down the middle, and it had excellent access to spin. Overall, I really like this new Head Speed MP. It's definitely worth a try.
One of my all-time favorite rackets was actually the previous version of the Head Speed MP, so I was super excited to go into this playtest and see how this new update compares. When I first looked at the racket, I honestly fell in love with the cosmetic. I think it looks amazing with this nice black and kind of gold cosmetic. It's an amazing touch from Head. Now, when it comes to playability, I did need a bit of an adjustment time to get used to this racket and to really be able to utilize the advantages of this new frame and what it can provide. I feel like this version, this new update is a bit more maneuverable. I know on paper the swing weight is about the same, maybe a bit less than the previous version, but for some reason I still felt like I was able to prepare this racket a bit easier and I was able to swing it easier through my shots. Now, I did love the heavier swing weight of the previous version, and honestly I think it provided me with a bit more stability, which this one unfortunately lacked. So if it was up to me, I would add just a little bit more weight to make it a bit more torsionally stable. I also think that this new update is a bit more user-friendly overall. I thought I was able to generate spin much easier and just depth much easier from the baseline. So much so that sometimes I felt like the racket was a bit too launchy for me. So I did have to get used to that and get that kind of dialed in for me. So just that easy access to power was a bit surprise for me, considering that spec-wise the racket is pretty much the same as the last one. I definitely thought that the new Headspeed MP was amazing for spin. I was honestly surprised by how much spin I was able to generate and how easily I was able to do that. I especially enjoyed this racket because of the spin on the baseline. Like I mentioned before, I did have quite a bit of an adjustment time with this frame to really get used to it. And I actually noticed that I did have to kind of change my playing style to really make it work for me, which is not ideal when playtesting a racket. I do love to hit a lot of touch shots, you know, drop shots, slices, drop volleys, and I honestly didn't feel comfortable hitting them with this racket for some reason. I just didn't feel connected enough. So that was something that I was missing for sure. But all in all, I still think this is a great racket. I would just customize it a little bit to make me and my preferences a bit better. And for someone who enjoys a Headspeed line, this would be a great option still. Thank you for watching. We strung up this new Headspeed MP Legend with head links tour at around 52 pounds. For more information on this racket or any others, please go check out Tennis Racquet, Tennis Racquet Europe or Tennis Only.